Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3787, and today's date is December 2nd, 2025, and the title of the episode is Trump Just Explained What Liberation Day is Really About, Breaking Free from the Central Bank. Let's talk about precious metals. Silver isn't just a historic store of value anymore. It's breaking records, hitting new all-time highs as global demand accelerates. That surge led me to Nevada. Most people hear the name and picture Las Vegas, Reno, bright lights, casinos. But long before the neon glow, Nevada earned a very different title, the Silver State, a place where some of the world's most important silver discoveries were made. Because Nevada wasn't built on entertainment, it was built on silver. And today that legacy is coming back into focus in a big way. AmeriCorps Resources, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada, is positioning itself right at the center of Nevada's modern silver resurgence. This company focused on high-potential silver exploration in the jurisdiction that has produced more wealth-creating minerals discoveries than anywhere else in the American West. They've recently acquired the Trinity Silver Project in Nevada from Newmont Corporation. As part of the deal, Newmont became a shareholder in AmeriCorps, a clear signal of the Trinity Project's immense value. When a global mining giant valued at nearly $100 billion takes notice, it's a strong indicator that you should too. This isn't a brand new exploration play with uncertain potential. It's a historic mine that has already produced over 5 million ounces of silver, with historic data indicating a potential resource of over 28 million ounces still in the ground. Why Nevada? Because investors know the rule. If you want to find new silver, go where silver has already made history. Nevada's geology, infrastructure, permitting framework, and discovery track record make it one of the safest, most productive, and most mining-friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's why the biggest names in the sector continue expanding here and why AmeriCorps is laser-focused on this ground. And here's what makes the story even more compelling. AmeriCorps Resource currently trades at under 25 cents, a steep discount compared to established silver names like Discovery Silver or Dolly Varden Silver, both of which command significantly higher valuations after their projects advanced. AmeriCorps offers investors that rare early-stage positioning, exposure to Nevada discovery potential before the market re-rates it, at a time when silver is surging and investor interest is skyrocketing. Because the story here is simple. A focused silver explorer drilling in America's most prolific silver jurisdiction at a time when global demand for ethically sourced, Western-aligned silver has never been stronger. Nevada built its identity on silver. AmeriCorps is stepping into to explore the next chapter of that story. Silver is hitting new all-time highs, and investors searching for high-impact exploration stories are looking straight toward the Silver State. That's where AmeriCorps Resources is positioning itself, trading under AMCOF in the U.S. and AMCO in Canada. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's near production, with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already in stockpile. AmeriCorps isn't just exploring, it's positioning the potential future production with just under 800,000 ounces of silver already sitting in stockpile. Run the math. At $50 an ounce, that's $40 million in contained silver. Even after processing, the value could still come in around $16 million, roughly 3 times the company's current market cap based on the stockpile alone. Thanks to AmeriCorps Resources for making today's video possible. I'll drop links to their website, investor presentation, and stock symbols in the description below. Go to AmeriCorpsResources.com and remember the ticker symbols, AMCOF, and in Canada, AMCO, or just click the link in the description. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, they're in a lot of trouble right now because Trump and the Patriots, they've been letting us know that we're going to have Liberation Day in 2026 on July 4th. And I do believe what Trump's attempting to do right now, and I do believe he will succeed, he's going to be breaking us free of the central bank system using the tariff system. And we are going to liberate ourselves from the slave grip of the central bank system. He continually repeats that the tariff system is going to allow us to wean ourselves off of the income tax. And again, shift us to external revenue. And that's what this is all about. Because again, if we go all the way back to 1913, all of a sudden, the third central bank system was basically brought into this country and has taken over ever since. And every day that passes, it has enslaved the people. The economy gets worse. The value of the currency declines, and it gets worse and worse for the people every single day. And I do believe Trump now, he is right on schedule to basically break the chains of the central bank system. That's what this is all about. Remember, the central bank system, I do believe, is the heart of the corruption and everything else that we've been seeing. And Trump now, he is on course, right on schedule, to break us free from all of this. And this is why the deep state players are so panicked. Because again, if you don't have an open-ended credit card, their entire agenda completely and utterly implodes on itself. They lose complete and utter control, not just in this country, but around the world. And you know what happens to the economy? The economy all of a sudden turns around just like that. And people start to realize, wait a minute, why were we living like this? Why did we have this inflation? Why was our currency worth absolutely nothing? Why was I working harder and harder? Why weren't there jobs? Why were there so many people on government assistance? It never had to be this way. And that's what Trump and the Patriots are going to show the people. Just with Trump removing the income tax, let's just throw out a number now. Those people that make under $100,000, they're going to see a different way of life. Now, remember, as we go through this transition period, we still have to make sure the government operates. And this is why Trump is working so hard to shrink the government and to actually expand the entire parallel economic system that he is now creating. So, yes, we are in a transition period. And you can see those states that have been following the agenda of the deep state, the central bankers, the Green New Scam, the World Economic Forum, whatever you want to call it, as they follow this agenda, what happens? The state or the countries, they have major, major problems. Electricity costs are skyrocketing. They have to continually say, we have to tax you more and tax you more and tax you more. Because again, they're pushing a certain agenda. And if you look at New Jersey, for example, they actually have an exit tax. If you decide to sell your home and you leave New Jersey, and if you're 65 years or older, I think you have to pay something like $4,500. If you're under 65, I think you pay $10,000. And look what California is doing right now. Amuse put this out and says, California now wants a retroactive billionaire tax. Leave the state and they'll tax last year's wealth anyway. The exodus is real. The desperation is worse. With 220 billionaires left in the state and many reportedly preparing to bolt, California Democrats unveiled a retroactive billionaire tax targeting 2025 residency. The 5% levy applies even if the individual has already relocated, turning temporary fiscal policy into a weapon against those who stay too long. While courts have sometimes upheld narrow retroactive taxes, justices from Scalia to O'Connor have warned against exactly this kind of bait-and-switch confiscation. As California's population and revenue base shrink, the state appears willing to gamble on a constitutionally dubious wealth grab to plug the holes. Now, of course, they know it's going to take some time. They know they can collect as much as possible during this period of time, and you know they're never going to ever return that money. So, yes, they will push this very hard because what are they seeing? They are seeing that they're not getting the federal funds anymore. They realize that, wait a minute, where the income coming in is not supporting what we're laundering right now. The entire state is imploding on itself. Corporations are moving out. Now, as we wrap up 2025, it's a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing we've all learned is that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing's for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital. It's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season, surrounded by family, remember the best gift you can give isn't under the tree, it's peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold delivers. Peace of mind, 1 ounce at a time. Before the year ends, take one smart step toward a safer future. Visit X22Gold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's X22Gold.com. Don't leave your future to chance, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. They're in a no-win situation, and you can see it's going to get worse and worse for them as time goes on. And you're really going to see the difference. And I think we're already starting to see the difference between the blue and the red states. I think it's becoming very, very clear. And I think it's becoming very clear that when Trump said he's going to be bringing gas down below $2 a gallon, he was totally serious. I wouldn't be surprised when all's said and done, we actually see gas below $1. I do believe it's going to hit that point. But when you look at fuel today, especially out in Colorado, and Johnny Maga put this out, gas is $1.82. Think about that for a second. $1.82. And Trump was able to do this, within 10, 11 months? So basically, this is absolutely true. If you look at Sam's Club, Sinclair, Shell out in Denver, these are the prices. Sam Club's $1.82 a gallon. Sinclair, $1.82. Shell, $1.83. Now everyone's going to go, well, I don't see that in my state. How come I don't see it in California? Well, talk to your people in California and think about all the taxes that they ramped up on this. And remember, right now, California is a failing state. Some other states have other taxes on their fuel. But eventually what's going to happen as fuel prices continually come down, I do believe as we enter 2026 and all the leases and the leases for all the oil companies, regulations are removed, you're going to see that everything that Trump has done during 2025 is going to take effect in 2026, and you're going to see fuel prices really start to come down. And this is how Trump is now battling the central bank system. Remember, the inflation that you feel never disappears. It's cumulative. The only way you can make it disappear is actually lower energy costs, which allows you to produce cheaply. It allows you to fill up your car cheaply, which means you have more money in your pocket. It allows for delivering items a lot more cheaper. Airlines, they'll lower their prices because they're getting fuel cheaper. But eventually, Trump will take this to the next step because this will only solve part of the problem. He will then start to pay off the debt because this is one of the only ways to get rid of inflation. Remember, the debt is all the money printing that's in circulation, which dilutes the currency. As you repay the debt, what happens? The dilution goes away. And all of a sudden, you start to feel your buying power come back. And think about what happens when we completely and utterly remove ourselves from the central bank and we go back to the gold standard. You're going to have full buying power, which means that any mortgage that you have today that's fixed right now, it's going to seem like it's nothing to pay. And I think people are going to start to really see this as time goes on. And Trump, he put out a couple of truths today showing everyone how much better the economy is compared to Biden. The first one is real wages are recovering after a massive hit from Biden's inflation. And if you look at Biden's wages, it was minus almost $3,000. Trump is plus $1,151. So that is very, very good. If you look at the deficit right now, Trump's policies have sharply reduced the deficit. And you can see that, once again, he's doing everything to basically take what the deep state, the central bankers have done for a very long time, and he's trying to bring it back to the point where he can start moving very, very quickly to actually wean us off the central bank system. When you look at the manufacturing renaissance, it is now underway. If you look at going all the way back to 2023, and this is what the graph shows, you see 0.5% or negative 0.4% or negative 1.4%. If you look at the manufacturing now, it's positive 3.5%, positive 2.4%. So it's getting better and better and better. And Trump is continually having more and more investments piled into this country. Because again, if we're going to make America great again, we need the manufacturers, we need investments, we need deals across the world. And that's exactly what he's doing. And basically what we need to do is we also need to support the young. And we need to make sure that they have some type of wealth as they get older. And Trump just made a deal with the Dells. If you ever heard of Dell Computer, this is the individual that started it. And Dell has pledged $6.25 billion to seed millions of Trump accounts. So Michael Dell and his wife announced a $6.25 billion commitment to help millions of American children build long-term wealth through newly created tax advantage investment accounts. So think about it. Trump is not just thinking about today. He's thinking about our children, our children's children. And he wants to make this country and the children wealthy as time goes on. And you can see he's doing this with the help of billionaires. And this is really going to help out in the long run. And think about it. With the one big, beautiful bill, we're going to see the biggest tax refund season in American history. And I do believe this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what we're going to experience. And think about it. Can Trump just change everything right now and just get rid of the central bank and get rid of all the taxes and everything? No, he has to do it slowly. But as he does it slowly and people experience this, people are going to say, you know something? This is incredible. We need to do more like this. This is absolutely fantastic, which means Trump is going to bring all these people to his side. Shadow of Ezra put this out and said, Trump says next year will bring the biggest tax refund season in American history, with families receiving money generated from tariffs that he claims have brought in trillions and now will be paid out like a dividend. He says this approach will gradually wipe out the national debt. He adds that in the future, Americans will no longer have to pay income tax at all. And he's absolutely right. And I do believe this has been his entire goal the entire time, because he knows that the central bank should never have ever been brought into this country. Remember, this is the third one in this country. The first one, the charter ran out and Congress said, never again. Andrew Jackson campaigned on getting rid of the second central bank, and he got rid of it. Here we are with the third one. Of course, they call it the Federal Reserve to confuse people, to make you think that it's part of the government when it really isn't. It's a private corporation. And now Trump is in the process of basically weaning us off the central bank system. And when he says, hey, we're going to be liberated from the enslavement of the central bank system. And that is what he's been talking about. He's not just building the tariff system just to build a tariff system, say, hey, look, we took in a couple million or a couple billion. He's building an economic engine. This economic engine will compete with a system where we have to borrow the currency. The engine that he is building requires no borrowing whatsoever. We don't have to borrow from anybody. We have the income coming in. So if the income is coming in and we're not borrowing, do we need income tax? No, the only reason we have income tax is because the central bank back in 1913 was set up and we went full fiat in 1971. The only reason we need income tax is because when you borrow the currency from a loan shark, there's interest attached. Who pays for the interest? Actually, it's a system that really enslaves the people. Because, again, if you borrow $1, the central bank was initially created. They said, okay, you want to borrow what? $1? Here's your dollar. By the way, there's 6 cents of interest. So if the central bank created the first dollar, where do you get the 6 cents? It doesn't exist, does it? So what do you got to do? You got to borrow another dollar to pay for that 6 cents. But again, now you borrowed $2 and there's additional interest. And this just continually happens and it continually goes on and on and on and on. And who's going to pay for all the interest? Who's going to pay for the borrowed money? Oh, the people. You see, they get rid of the tariff system. They don't want the tariff system because if we have the tariff system and the tariff system is paying for the central bank, they can't enslave the people. So if you ever look and you go back in history, whenever the central bank comes into existence, they get rid of the tariff system. And they say, hey, we need a way to collect the money. And the only way to do that is collect it from the people. So how do we do that? Oh, let's create an army of thugs and let's enslave the people in the system and make them work harder and harder and harder. And they'll just keep paying, keep them busy, keep them tired so they have no idea what's going on. And we'll just breed corruption across the country. But we could see that's all about to change. And you know what people are going to see? They're going to see that the fiat currency, that isn't money. The real money, I do believe, is gold, silver, Bitcoin. Because it's all decentralized. Nobody controls it. Nobody creates it. There's not a centralized entity that's controlling it. We're not borrowing it from anyone. And I do believe in the end, everything is about to change. Because as Trump brings in the revenue from other countries, he can use it to fund the government. He can use it to pay for everything. We don't need the central bank anymore. And as time goes on, as we wean ourselves off the central bank system becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And as Trump pays off the central bank, it becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And you know who becomes stronger? The people of this country. Trump's system becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. The buying power returns to the people, which actually helps the economy grow by leaps and bounds. It helps manufacturers grow by leaps and bounds. And all of a sudden, we see an economic system that we've never, ever seen before. And that's liberation. And that is where all of this is headed. Soon, people are going to see a new world. And as Trump calls it, the golden age. They're going to see a world that they've never seen before. You're going to see what people have talked about in the past. Remember when you heard stories of people going into a store saying, I used a nickel or a penny. Actually, we don't even produce a penny anymore to purchase candy or, any type of goods. Well, we're going to be going back to that because the value of the currency is going to be returned to the people, which means once the people have the buying power, they have the power. And I do believe that is then liberation. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.